Hello, my golf friend. Welcome back to Think Above Par. Hope you're playing some amazing golf. If you are, keep sharing your wins with me. Keep sharing this podcast with your friends too, so they can play amazing golf as well. So you might have noticed I don't have my intro music on this episode. And I don't know, I've been doing this podcast for 240 weeks-ish, something like that. And I'm kind of bored with it. And so I don't think I'm going to put it on anymore. And if you're a regular listener, you're probably bored with it too. I'm tired of listening to my damn voice that I recorded 240 episodes ago. That introduction, I've not changed it. And I don't know, someone in marketing might tell me that's a bad move, that I should keep the consistency, but I'm kind of tired of it. So I might shake it up, but I'll be interested to hear your opinion. If you miss it, send me a note. If you're like, thank God, Kathy, that you're not adding this to the top of your episode, send me a note. If you want something different, you want me to shake it up, or I'm just going to add like a little bit of music, I think. Let's get right to the point. I usually don't flap very much. I share about stories, or I'll share about clients a little bit, but I don't flap very much. I just get to the point so you can get a takeaway and go play golf. And as I say that, I'm flapping about my music right now. But anyway, I'm going to take it off for this episode. Let me know. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you think. I wanted to talk today about par threes with you because it's come up so often, and I think it's so interesting on how people struggle on par threes. And it's a mindset I'm just going to share with you. So if you have the mindset on par threes that you're not very good at them, you don't par them enough, or that you should par all of them, I want you to keep listening. And if you're like, nope, that's not me, I encourage you to keep listening because you might see yourself in a different scenario on the golf course. It might not be par threes. It might be long par fours. It might be short par fives. I'm going to go about making them all pretty neutral, but I'm going to focus today on par threes. Okay, so this is what happens is I have clients or people who come up to me and say, I struggle with par threes. I'm not very good at them. I never par them. I always miss the green on par threes. Par threes are my nemesis. Or if they don't, then they say I should par all the par threes. I should hit the green on the par threes. That's where I'm losing shots. I just heard that one. I'm losing shots on my par threes. And we say these things like they're facts, like everybody would agree with us. Like they're expecting me to go, oh my gosh, yes, you are. You do stink on par threes. Yes, you did waste so many shots on the par threes. Right? They're looking for me to nod my head, and I'm not. It's so interesting to me that they are not facts. And this is what I want you really to hear yourself. You want to decide if it is true what you're saying about par threes in this situation. Okay, so these are some things that I want you to get through your head about par threes. Just a different paradigm shift, let's call it. You're going to think about this a little bit differently. One is that a par three is just like an approach shot on a par four and potentially a par five, just depending on how long it is. Right? So I want you to ask yourself, if you're playing the same golf course all the time, how long are your par threes? Let's say they're 110 to 140 yards, just somewhere in that range. How many of your approach shots are also 110 to 140 yards into a par four? Probably pretty similar. So it's just like your approach shot on the par four, other than you can tee it up. That's it. That's the only difference. They're equal. They're the same. It's just a par four and you cut off the driver, right? If you can reach a par four and two, that's all that happened. It's a par four and you didn't have to hit your driver. Number two is I want you to know what your data is. So in other words, let's say you have a 110-yard shot, you're hitting a pitching wedge or a 9-iron or 7-iron, whatever yours is. It doesn't matter. But let's just say you're hitting a 9-iron and you say to me, I never hit the green with a 9-iron on the par threes. Well, I would like you to know how many 9-irons can you hit out of 10. And let's just assume, to make this all really easy math, that every par three is a 9-iron. And let's just assume that on the range that you can hit 5 out of 10, just for easy math. So you go to the range when you're pretty calm or certain or confident, you're in a good place so you can access your talent, you can think clearly, and you go out there and you hit 5 out of 10 onto the green. So that means that 50% of the time when you have a 9-iron in your hand, if you are in a state where you can access your talent, you'll hit half of the par threes on average, if there's 4 par threes. Now, let's say over the course of the round, you have 10 approach shots with this 9-iron that are 110 yards over the course of the whole round. Statistically, if you're able to access your talent, you'd hit 5 of them and you'd miss 5 of them based on this example. I'm not saying this is you, based on this example. It is plausible if you play enough golf one day that you won't hit the par threes. Like the 5 that you miss, 4 of them will be the par threes. It's possible. That doesn't mean you have to create a story that you don't play par threes well. I want you to know how many times you actually can hit your 9-iron on the range when you're in a good spot, because golf brings in so many different elements. If you're able to actually do that 50% that you own on the range, you're managing your mind really well. But if you're standing on the par 3 saying, I should hit it is pressure. Pressure is not how you were on the range. So you can't access your talent. It's behind it. It's behind that layer of pressure. So your stats aren't going to be the same. But you got to hear yourself saying that I should par this hole. I should hit this green. I should hit all the par 3s. That sentence is not serving you. That sentence is actually getting in your way. It's making it harder for you to hit the green on par 3s. Know how many shots you hit out of 10 on the range when you're in your best state. This will be your statistic for that club. And we're going to assume it's a 9-iron you're hitting into the par 3s. So then apply that to the number 4 of par 3s, and that's the percentage of par 3s if you're in that state where you likely are going to hit the green, but not all the time, because there's other approach shots that you're also hitting that 9-iron. And see if your expectations are matching reality. Because if you're putting pressure on yourself to hit the green on a par 3, I want you to understand it's no different than if the ball was on the ground on a par 4. It's the same shot, same club. The shot might be slightly different because the ball can be on a tee, but it's the same club. And this is the thing that is really important to understand, is that if you have the thought that you don't hit very many par 3s, and then you find evidence that you don't hit very many par 3s, it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy for you. So you will set out scanning for the evidence that you're right. And now you have this identity of a person who doesn't hit very many par 3s. So then if you think you're a person who doesn't hit very many par 3s, or par 3s are hard, you're going to stand on that tee box scanning for evidence that you're right. So you want to look for this little sucker when it creeps in there. You want to look when you get that little crappy thought about par 3s, or it could be par 4s or par 5s or any shot. And I want you to remember, too, the third point is that every shot is equal in golf. One is not more important than the other. They all count exactly the same on the scorecard. And every hole is neutral, whether it's a par 3, a par 4, or a par 5. Par 3s aren't the enemy. Long par 3s aren't the enemy. When you label something a long par 3, all you're saying is, I have to hit in this club. And I don't want to hit my hybrid in. The reason I don't want to hit my hybrid in is because out of 10, I probably only hit it 2 times. But if you're just realistic with what you actually can do with whatever club you are sticking in your hand and swinging, and you can get your expectations to match reality and watch and witness putting extra pressure on yourself to hit the green because you're labeling it an easy par 3 or a hard par 3, or that you should hit par 3s, or that you should par 3s, or that you're losing shots. That is where you end up getting in your own way, right? So the question to ask yourself is, what is your belief about your ability to play par 3s? Do you have a story? We can expand this out. How about par 4s? How about par 5s? The more neutral you can make it, the easier it is for you to access your talent. All right. So this is your story that I want you to go through the things I've talked about here. 1, I want you to realize that a par 3 is just an approach shot on a par 4. They're the same. It's just a club that you put in your hand and swing on a tee. I want you to know your data. How many times can you take that club that you're hitting, the 9-iron in the example that I gave, on a green when you're in a pretty calm state? Then you should expect that exact same ratio. That would be a beautifully managed mind, by the way. And understand that you're also hitting 9-irons into approach shots. So you got to include that in your statistics. If you're hitting 50% of 9-irons on a green, that includes all the other 9-irons that you're hitting into par 4s. It doesn't mean just the ones that you hit into par 3s, right? And the last thing is make every hole neutral. They're the same. Every shot is equal because every swing counts exactly the same, whether it's on a par 3 or it's on a par 4. All right, my friends, I hope that helped you if you have some par 3 drama. And if you want some more help with this, make sure you connect with me in your mental caddy. I'd love to support you and help you access more of your talent. All right, have a beautiful week, and I'll talk to you next Wednesday. Bye.